Boom. Okay. Real briefly, last week we talked about capitalizing on some of the positional mistakes that the bottom person makes. Although I'm going to need to remove his or her knee off of on top of me, there's certain ways and certain things I want to think about while this is happening to me. We're already aware that if I put my hand on my knee, his knee here, to provide the most anatomically correct way of creating force into the knee to wipe it off, there's an error with that because my elbow comes up. Although I might have more power, I'm way more vulnerable here. As Aaron just showed, he can hook it, look for far side spinning arm bars. He can pin my wrist to the ground, look for Kimuras. There's a lot of things that they can do, not to mention just wipe up my elbow and go to mount. So the first thing that we're going to do is kind of straightforward. I'm going to shrimp away from the pressure and put my hand on the knee, but we want to make sure, go ahead and put your knee on belly, that I'm not just giving them the opportunity to isolate my arm here. So there's a specific way I'm going to do this. I'm in here, okay, I'm in nice and tight, remembering that anytime my palms or my elbows leave my body, I start putting myself at risk. So I'm in here I am in my shell, nice and tight. Instead of putting my hand on the knee and letting my elbow flare for the maximum amount of push, I'm going to decide to go a safer path, leave myself a little bit more, less room to be on the defensive position and more room to be on what I want to be back in my guard situation. So basically, I'm going to take my hand, cover the knee, keep my elbow in. There's always going to be a little pocket of space, especially if you have long arms. It doesn't have to be my palm. It can be my forearm or the middle of my forearm here, as long as my elbow's not flaring and I'm trying to keep my hand in. My other hand, I'm not going to push on the ankle here. I want to have my hand lifting the ankle. When I show us the second time, we'll rotate a little bit. The idea is to make his ankle, pushing his heel kind of up into his hips, into his butt area, hiding his offense as much as possible, and using this hand and this hand to guide him off. But if I stay on my hips, there's a lot of friction, so there's one last trick. I want to put pressure, lift the foot and push it in, and now I need to gain elevation by bringing my heels in and bridging. Now, he's in knee on belly, but what's going to happen is instead of me pushing him off, I'm going to push myself out from underneath him by guiding this leg this way and shrimping my hips away. The knee comes back to the ground. So for right now, we're going to wipe this back off, and we're going to return. He's going to put his chest down, and this time we'll rotate so you guys can see what's going on with the foot. Come to this side. The partner pops up, goes knee on belly. Okay, not letting this elbow flare. I'm going to cover it with my palm or with my forearm. This hand is going to come at the foot. I'm going to try and push the foot straight, and that way, again, my elbow is in. I've got a lot of lifting power, especially when I bridge my hips. Covering the knee and driving it this way, bridging, and now I'm going to push his hips this side and shrimp mine to the other side. I need this knee to come down to the mat, okay? We're going to reset the drill, and he's going to go again. And we're going to do this for 2 minutes on top, 2 minutes on bottom. He pops up knee on belly. I'm going to hide my arm, cup the foot, bridge, wipe it off, and shrimp away. One more time. Okay, we'll add part 2 and part 3 into this where we don't just wipe it off for them to do again. We're going to wipe it off and we're going to retain our guard. For this first time, let's focus on the first part of the movement. Ready? 1, 2, 3. First. So my partner pops up, they hit their knee on belly. This is still the same thing. Remember, at all costs, I'm trying to keep this in as much as possible, even if it means I can't put my hand on the knee because that makes my elbow flare. It's about capping it and keeping them from advancing to mount, and also having a good amount of push this way. With the technique we just did, luckily I get to use my second hand to lift him up, and the third thing that's going to aid me, so I don't have to just go, so I don't need as much power out of this elbow. The reason I can keep it in and just use this to cap him, prevent them from going to a better position like mount, I'm going to bridge. I'm using my entire body, right? Remember, if my legs are out here, my bridge is crappy, so I'm always bringing my heels close to my butt. Now I'm capping it, preventing the mount, lifting with this foot, bridging. Last time we stopped right when their knee hits, and it doesn't make sense to go back and let them do it again. So this time we're going to continue on, and we're going to shrimp back to guard. So I'm going to bridge. I'm pushing, guiding with my right hand and shrimping away. Once their knee gets to the mat, sometimes I have to make a double clutch here. The first shrimp won't give me enough space to get my leg through. So the first shrimp clears the knee. I'm going to regather my feet, shrimp again to create space between our hips. And how much space do I need? At a minimum, the length of my femur. Okay, I've got a lot more than my femur, so it makes it easy to stay on my side. Drive my bottom leg through like I'm kneeing myself in the chest. Now I can start to lean away and reframe my legs. So Aaron's going to go to mount. I'm going to use part A that we just used. I'm sorry, I said mount. Knee on belly. He's going to go to knee on belly. I'm going to keep him from going to mount. I'm going to guide the knee off. Often I have to make a second shrimp on my side. Shrimp, bottom leg comes through, I refeed my ankle. Now I'm just gonna let him pass so that we can get as many reps in as possible. Knee on belly, we're gonna do it in one move. Part A and part B. Part A. Part B, shrimp again and get to guard. Okay, all. Back into a guard. Open guard, or into my closed guard. All right, same thing. This time, person on top, 3 minutes. Person on bottom, 3 minutes. Okay, part A and part B. Ready, 1, 2, 3. So partner does the same thing. They're gonna get a rep, exploding, popping up to knee on belly. Now, I'm gonna cover the knee, not to let my elbow flare. I'm gonna go palm up, thumb towards my mouth, right? Not palm up this way. This causes my pocket to flare. I'm gonna come here so I can keep my elbow in nice and tight. I've got good lift pressure. Watch especially what's gonna happen with this hand that's controlling the foot this time. Before, when I've been bridging, I've been feeding it, kind of pitching it off to the side of me. Okay? And then the second technique, once I did this, I created space, got my frames, and drove my leg through. This time, from the apex, from the top of my bridge, instead of guiding the foot off of my belly, back only down 1 rung, I want to put Aaron down 2 or 3 rungs. So I want to put him and feed his ankle directly into my half guard. Okay? So Aaron goes knees on belly. Here I come. Here. Everything's the same. Part A, bridge. Now, instead of wiping and throwing his momentum this way, from the apex, from the top of my bridge, I'm gonna start to rotate his foot down in between my knees. There's one trick here. I'm gonna straighten my leg and kind of open the center of my knee towards the ceiling, so when I feed the foot, I can now close the bear trap. Now, my hand was already hanging out here. Once I close the knee, guess what I'm gonna look to do? I'm gonna look to push this knee down and get to a better half guard, which is above the knee. So once I've trapped the ankle, now I can work on getting above the knee. I can post, frame, turn, feed the knee down, and circle my leg out, and get into my better half guard. Okay, so again, same angle before I change the angle. Really pay attention to the foot lift this time. 1, 2, bridge, feed, trap the ankle, keep your knees pinched. Now I can push the knee down and circle my other leg in a circular pattern to get the bite between my thighs above his knee. Okay, different angle. Be on this side of me this time. 1, 2, bridge, feed, and trap. Push this knee and circle my outside leg back to where my knees are pinching above his knee. This hand, as long as I keep my elbow in, it can frame the inner leg or the hip. Please don't reach up here. That's armbar city, okay? Above the knee. Last time. Let's change it one more time. Come from here. Real fast. Last thing. Last thing. Don't let your partner establish their good grips and start to cook you from knee on belly. The second they come up, we need to use our counters. The longer they stay here, the more the concrete hardens and solidifies their position. Okay? As soon as they pop up, I'm already expecting this. Now I can start doing all my guards and fun stuff, and sweeps, all the fun stuff that comes after that, but I have to get back to my good position first, okay? Same partners. Let's do it like this. You do this move 4 times, your partner does it 4 times, 4 times, 4 times. See how many times we can get through it in 5 minutes. Then we'll grab Drake and roll. Ready, 1, 2, 3.